There are so many productive things you could be doing out there, yet you clicked on this video. So as usual, here are 20 minutes of absolutely useless information, packaged just to blow your minds. If there's a train a mile away from your house that you only hear occasionally, it's not a random thing. It actually depends on the water content in the air. Water particles can affect how sound travels, which is why sometimes you hear it clearly and other times you don't. The Himalayas, the tallest mountain range in the world, are growing slightly taller every year. They increase in height by about 1 centimeter annually. This growth happens because the mountain range is located over tectonic plates that are slowly rising and pushing against each other, causing the land to elevate. When hummingbirds go to sleep, their bodies enter a state of extreme energy conservation. They slow their heart rates so much that it's almost as if they're dead. This process helps them save energy and survive the night, especially since their tiny bodies burn a lot of energy during the day. In Indonesia, some clever monkeys have figured out how to adapt to the modern world in the most mischievous way. These monkeys have started running a sort of market to take advantage of tourists. They steal valuable items like phones, purses, and cameras, and then refuse to return them unless they're bribed with a cracker or other food item. Army ants are amazing at surviving in extreme conditions. During high water floods, they work together to create floating balls made entirely of ants. These balls roll on the water's surface, allowing every ant in the group to take a breath and avoid drowning. Squids have incredibly unique anatomy, including donut-shaped brains that wrap around their throats. While this might seem fascinating, it can be dangerous for the squid. If they swallow a piece of food that's too large, it can press against their brain, leading to serious damage or even death. Think you're safe online? Think again. Every time you use public Wi-Fi, hackers and snoopers are waiting. That's why I use NordVPN. It encrypts your data, hides your IP, and keeps your online life private. With 5,000 plus servers in 60 plus countries, you can browse securely and access content from anywhere. Stream TV shows, shop safely, and stay untraceable, all with one click. Try it risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect yourself today. Link in the description. The cracking sound you hear when a bullwhip is used correctly isn't just a random noise, it's actually a tiny sonic boom. The very tip of the whip, known as the cracker, moves so fast that it breaks the sound barrier, creating that sharp, loud sound. Interestingly, the bullwhip is believed to be the first human invention capable of breaking the sound barrier. The last time all humans were living together on Earth was on November 2, 2000. Since that day, there has always been at least one person living aboard the International Space Station. Humanity has maintained a continuous presence in space for over 2 decades now. Dogs have an extraordinary sense of smell that allows them to do incredible things, like telling time. They can detect how long their owner has been gone by sniffing the air and noticing how much of their scent has faded. With over 200 million smell receptors in their noses, compared to just 5 million in humans, dogs are capable of smelling things that we can't even imagine. Because of this ability, they're used to find explosives, illegal items, and even hidden electronic devices. The toy company Mattel once made a vibrating Harry Potter broomstick. It was intended for kids to pretend to fly around on, but the toy was discontinued after adult stores in Times Square started selling it for twice its original price. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. conducted what they called Operation Popeye, in which they stimulated clouds in Vietnam to extend the monsoon season. This operation was later declassified in 1974, and U.S. involvement in it became public knowledge. Soccer balls were originally made black and white for a practical reason. Back when televisions were black and white, the contrasting colors made it much easier for viewers to see the ball on their screens. The classic design has stuck around even though modern TVs don't need it anymore. The chemical compound used to create the fake banana flavor in sweets is the same compound honeybees use as an alarm pheromone. This means you should never eat banana-flavored candy or snacks near a beehive. If you suddenly smell a strong banana scent while near bees, it's a warning signal. Vultures have an unusual way of staying cool on hot days. They urinate on their legs and feet. This process, called urohydrosis, helps to lower their body temperature. Interestingly, their urine also acts as a disinfectant, killing any bacteria or parasites they may have picked up from walking through carcasses or sitting on dead animals. James Cole from the University of Brighton discovered that human meat is significantly less nutritious than pork or wild game. The average human body contains about 75 pounds of edible meat, though we'd rather not imagine how he figured that out. Of the 400 to 500 species of sharks, the sand tiger shark is the only one known to fart. Additionally, no shark species can produce sounds, as none have organs capable of generating them. Guinness World Record for the most children delivered in a single birth who all survived belongs to a woman in Mali. She gave birth to 9 babies, known as nonuplets. The term vasovagal syncope refers to a sudden loss or near loss of consciousness triggered by emotional or environmental factors, like the sight of blood or needles. If you fainted during blood work, that's likely the cause. NASA discovered that only 40 digits of pi are necessary to calculate the observable universe's circumference with an accuracy within 1 hydrogen atom. Jack White of the White Stripes initially reserved the iconic guitar riff from Seven Nation Army for a potential James Bond theme song. While it wasn't used for Bond, he did write the theme for the 2008 film Quantum of Solace. On December 2, 1942, scientists at the University of Chicago achieved the first controlled nuclear chain reaction in human history. After President Kennedy's assassination in 1963, the Texas School Book Depository owner had the infamous sniper's window removed and displayed it in his home. NBA player JaVale McGee and his mother, former WNBA player Pamela McGee, are the only mother-son duo in history to win Olympic gold medals. The U.S. state of South Dakota installs durable markers at fatal automobile crash sites with messages like "Think" or "Why Die" to both prevent future accidents and honor the deceased. 12 people have walked on the moon, making it one of humanity's greatest achievements. However, only 3 people have ventured to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. Exploring the depths of the Earth's oceans is still a greater challenge than exploring space. Penguins have a special gland located above their eyes that allows them to survive in environments with salt water. This gland extracts the salt from seawater, turning it into fresh water that the penguins can safely consume. It's like having a built-in desalination system. Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, is so massive that it doesn't truly orbit the sun the way other planets do. Instead, Jupiter and the sun orbit a shared center of gravity located just above the sun's surface. This unique gravitational relationship makes them act almost like a binary star system. Sloths are so incredibly lazy that even finding a mate requires minimal effort on their part. When a female sloth is ready to mate, she often doesn't go looking for a male. Instead, she sits in a tree and screams until a male sloth hears her and decides to approach. Talk about taking it easy! Iguanas have a third rudimentary eye located on the top of their heads. While this eye isn't capable of forming images, it can sense changes in light and movement. This adaptation likely evolved to help iguanas detect predators approaching from above, such as birds of prey. There's a plant native to Australia called the Gympie gympie, also known as the suicide plant. Its heart-shaped leaves are covered in fur-like, fluffy-looking poisonous trichomes. These trichomes embed themselves into the skin upon contact and deliver a neurotoxin that causes excruciating pain. What makes it worse is that the toxin can linger for up to a year. Even breathing near the plant can be dangerous, as the fine hairs can become airborne. There's no real cure. Victims must endure the pain until it naturally subsides. Squirrels are delicate when it comes to handling stress. If they become too overwhelmed, they might freeze completely and retreat to a high, safe location where they remain still for hours, or even more than a day, until their stress levels return to normal. This behavior is called sitting high and helps them survive intense situations, but extreme stress can still cause them to die. Flatfish larvae, like most other fish, hatch with eyes on both sides of their heads. However, as they grow, one eye migrates across their skull to join the other side. Depending on the species, some flatfish are right-eyed while others are left-eyed, and certain species, like halibut, can be either. This unique adaptation allows them to camouflage effectively as they lie flat on the ocean floor. Elephants have an extraordinary ability to detect water hidden underground. Using their tusks, trunks, and feet, they can dig up hidden water sources to hydrate themselves. Other animals, aware of this skill, often wait nearby to take advantage of the water hole the elephants create. Dogs love their owners just as much as we love them, and science proves it. Studies of their brain activity show a clear difference when they're presented with an image of their owner versus that of a stranger. Additionally, the pleasure centers of their brains are more active when interacting with humans than when interacting with other dogs. Domestic kittens need to stay with their mother for at least 4 months to learn critical life skills and social behaviors. While cats can live over 20 years, their health and lifespan are significantly influenced by proper care. High-quality food and keeping them indoors or away from busy streets can make a huge difference. The insect with the longest known lifespan is the termite queen. These incredible insects can live for at least 50 years. Some experts even estimate that termite queens could potentially live up to 100 years, making their lifespan comparable to some of the longest living animals. During the Australian wildfires, wombats displayed extraordinary behavior. They began expanding their burrows to provide shelter to other animals in need, including birds, reptiles, and even larger creatures like sheep. Remarkably, they created different rooms for various species to stay safe and widened their entryways to accommodate bigger animals. This act of interspecies compassion earned them the title of Heroes of the Fires. Newborn bat rays, along with other types of stingrays, have a strange way of being born. Their fins are tightly wrapped around their small bodies, making them look like burritos as they enter the world. This unique feature provides them protection. Occasionally, a penguin will turn away from its colony and start walking toward the interior of Antarctica, heading away from food, water, and safety. Scientists call this behavior disoriented penguin syndrome. Despite attempts to intervene and guide them back to the colony, these penguins are determined to continue their solo journey. If stopped, they often become aggressive. When a herd of antelopes is chased by a predator, some individuals will leap high into the air, a behavior known as stotting or pronking. While it seems counterintuitive since running is faster, the leaping confuses predators. By forcing the predator to expend energy targeting a specific individual, the herd gains time to escape. It's a risky move for the jumper, but it increases the group's overall survival chances. Dogs often fake sneeze while playing as a way of signaling that they're just having fun. These sneezes act as a form of communication, reassuring their playmates that their playful nips and jumps are all in good spirits. Before moving on to the next fact, consider supporting the channel by buying us a coffee. Your support helps us bring you even more delightfully useless information. The link is in the description below. Every element in the universe heavier than lithium had to be created inside the core of a star through nuclear fusion. Even more fascinating, elements heavier than iron were forged in the intense explosions of supernovae. This means that the atoms making up your body and the world around you were born in the heart of ancient stars that lived and died billions of years ago. A female turkey can lay an egg that doesn't need to be fertilized by a male turkey. Through a process called parthenogenesis, the egg develops on its own, and the baby turkey that hatches will always be male. Grizzly bears in Yellowstone National Park have an unusual diet that includes feasting on moths. In fact, they consume around 300,000 moths each month, which accounts for about 1/3 of their total calorie intake. These moths are an essential source of energy for the bears, especially as they prepare for hibernation. In 1895, the entire state of Ohio had only 2 cars on the road. Despite the vast space and the tiny number of vehicles, these 2 cars still managed to crash into each other. This odd historical accident has since become a symbol of improbable misfortune. Abraham Lincoln's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, witnessed a strange series of historical tragedies. He was present at or near the scene of 3 presidential assassinations: his father, Abraham Lincoln, in 1865, James Garfield in 1881, and William McKinley in 1901. This bizarre coincidence earned him the nickname the Presidential Jinx. The use of fingerprinting can be traced back to ancient China as early as the 700s, where it was used for identification purposes in official documents. However, it wasn't until the 1800s that fingerprints were used for forensic science, revolutionizing criminal investigations worldwide. Woolly mammoths, the iconic Ice Age creatures, still roamed the earth when the Great Pyramids of Giza were being constructed. In fact, a small population of mammoths survived on Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean until around 2000 BCE, making them contemporaries of early human civilizations. When someone is severely starving and their body fat reserves are depleted, the human body can respond by growing a layer of fine, fur-like hair known as lanugo. This hair helps to insulate the body in the absence of fat. The common pigeon, or Columba livia, is more extraordinary than most people realize. Not only can pigeons see ultraviolet light, but they can also differentiate between various artistic and musical genres. Remarkably, pigeons can be trained to identify cancer in scans and images. When working as a group, their accuracy in detecting cancer is even higher than that of trained human experts. The largest living organism on Earth is a massive honey fungus located in Oregon's Malheur National Forest. This colossal network of mycelium covers an astonishing 2,308 acres, making it the biggest organism by area and an incredible example of nature's hidden wonders. The total energy stored in all the oil and gas reserves on Earth is equivalent to just 8.5 days of sunlight striking the planet's surface. Ball pythons in the wild have a fascinating symbiotic relationship with termites. They live in termite mounds and feed on mice that attempt to invade the mound to eat termites. This arrangement benefits the snakes by providing food and shelter while protecting the termites from their predators. Volcano snails, also known as scaly-foot gastropods, have a unique adaptation that sets them apart from other creatures. They don't need to eat because they house symbiotic bacteria in their bodies. These bacteria convert chemicals from their extreme environment, like sulfur and iron, into energy for the snails. The passenger pigeon was once the most abundant bird species in North America and possibly the entire world, with an estimated population of 3 to 5 billion birds. However, due to overhunting and habitat destruction, this incredible species went extinct in the wild in the early 1900s. The last known passenger pigeon, named Martha, died in captivity on September 1, 1914. All humans share 99.9% of the same DNA. It is the tiny remaining 0.1% of genetic variation that accounts for all the differences in appearance, personality, and traits among people. New York Harbor was once home to trillions of oysters, forming vast reefs that not only supported marine life, but also acted as natural water filters and storm barriers. Overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction have drastically reduced their numbers, but conservation efforts are underway to restore oyster populations. Vultures don't have a syrinx or voice box, which means they can't vocalize like most birds. Instead, they communicate through grunts and hisses. Despite this limitation, vultures are highly intelligent and social birds with complex family structures. They play a vital role in ecosystems by consuming carrion, and their stomach acid is so potent that it neutralizes harmful pathogens, including rabies and botulism. The U.S. military has identified a minimum intelligence level required to comprehend and perform basic tasks during boot camp, such as folding clothes neatly, lacing shoes correctly, and assembling rifles. Astonishingly, about 10% of the U.S. population fails to meet this threshold. Research suggests that subconscious parts of our brain begin sending signals to perform actions even before the conscious mind decides to do them. Depending on the action, this can happen a few microseconds to even minutes earlier. The magnolia tree is so ancient that it predates most modern pollinators such as bees and birds. Instead, magnolias evolved to be pollinated by beetles, which were among the earliest pollinators to emerge on Earth. The small, often overlooked plastic or metal tip at the end of a shoelace is called an aglet. These tiny components serve a vital purpose, preventing the laces from fraying and making them easier to thread through eyelets. Trees are capable of communicating with one another through vast networks of mycelium in the soil. Often referred to as the wood wide web, this underground network allows trees to share nutrients, warn each other of nearby threats, and even send chemical signals into the air as a form of alert, while not as fast as the fictional trees in Avatar. This phenomenon is particularly observed in acacia trees. When a giraffe starts eating from one tree, the tree releases chemicals that make its leaves toxic. These chemicals are also carried by the wind to warn other nearby acacia trees of the danger, prompting them to become toxic as well. Interestingly, giraffes tend to eat from trees downwind first, moving upward as they eat, to maximize the time before the trees become inedible. Certain types of nightshade plants, such as Solanum nigrum, produce fruit that is toxic when unripe, but perfectly edible when fully ripe. Similarly, many common nightshades like tomatoes and husk tomatoes are also toxic in their unripe stages, a defense mechanism to deter predators until their seeds are ready to spread. It's not just climate change itself that poses a threat to humanity, but the pace at which it is happening. Climate changes have occurred naturally throughout history, sometimes even more extreme than today. However, these changes typically unfolded over millennia, allowing ecosystems time to adapt. The current rate of change, accelerated by human activity, is happening far too quickly for ecosystems to keep up. Koalas are often considered one of the least intelligent animals on Earth, with the smallest brain-to-body ratio of any mammal. Their survival is largely due to their lack of competition. They exclusively eat eucalyptus leaves, which are toxic to most other animals and have very little nutritional value. Fennec foxes, native to the desert, have exceptionally large ears. These ears serve multiple purposes. They help dissipate body heat to keep the fox cool and also enhance their hearing, allowing them to detect prey even underground. There's a theory that humans are universally attracted to shiny objects because of an evolutionary instinct to seek out water. The way sunlight reflects off water is naturally shiny, which might explain why humans find shiny things so captivating. Cats have bifurcated uteruses, meaning they have two separate uterine horns. This unique anatomy makes it possible for a cat to carry two different litters at the same time, fathered by different males. Prion diseases caused by misfolded proteins are incurable and highly resistant to destruction. These diseases can remain dormant in soil for years and cannot be disinfected with standard methods. If you come into contact with a prion, it is recommended to wash the area with a 10% bleach solution for 3 to 4 minutes. Prion diseases are almost always fatal, typically killing within 2 years of symptoms appearing. The International Space Station is the third brightest object in the night sky, after the Sun and the Moon. It's often visible to the naked eye as it orbits Earth, traveling at a speed of about 28,000 kilometers per hour. The average distance between asteroids in the asteroid belt is much larger than commonly portrayed in movies, approximately twice the distance between the Earth and the Moon. This means that navigating through the asteroid belt would be relatively safe, as collisions are incredibly unlikely. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you found anything surprising. Oh, and also, consider buying my useless mug. Until next time, the Useless Guy.